What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Moo Trades. It's been a long while since I made a video, but I'm back. Today we're gonna do a Thomas Wade style video and just go bar by bar, and I'll let you guys know how I saw the markets today. Just how I saw it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm gonna turn off the camera for now just because I got a new monitor, so I'll be looking to the right. Let's get into the price action. Alright, so I have the right side of the chart, the margin set very high, so as we drag along, we'll be able to see the bars printing live. And right now it's right around market open, and I actually had this trend channel drawn pretty early in the day, just because I like to always focus on, especially in the beginning of the day, using the first few swings, and then later on in the day, if this turned into a range, I could have drawn the range. But at this point of the day, because we were so bearish, I felt that the downtrend was stronger in the early part of the day, and it turned out to be the case. And I didn't want to draw the range just yet because I didn't want to get burned. And I thought if we do bounce around here, which we ended up doing, then this would have been valid. So we had this uptrend, we had a break of it, and a new high signaling this short-term uptrend is over. This bounce at the trend channel gave us some indication that it could have been valid. And when we had a third touch right here and a lower high with such a bearish signal bar, I actually went short, and that was my first trade of the day. I ended up getting a great runner, and it just went down. So once again, we always like to focus on the short-term downtrends, and we want to draw them thin like this. Because if we had drawn it something like this, then it doesn't give us as neat price action, and it doesn't allow us to really see what's going on. Because if we had drawn this wide trend, this uptrend would have been there for no reason. It would have not made sense to have such a spike up. Whereas if we have this thin trend, what the price action is telling us is that there was this short-term downtrend, we had a break and a new low, and then prices started reversing, which makes sense in the rules of price action. So once again, we're reaching the top of this trend channel, and also what gave me some validation that this trend channel was valid was look how many times we're bouncing off the midline. We go right there to the tick. Again, we're bouncing off this midline, and we bounce out. Now, you can also argue for this as a sort of aggressive trade. We don't have a break and a new high of this short-term uptrend, but for those who are also seeing this as a sort of trading range from the lows to the highs, we can also see that this midline is in play, because at this point of the day, even though there's a downward bias, there can still be two conflicting patterns, which is what we have. We have a downtrend, but also we have a range-like structure. So this midline is in play, signaling that the lows are valid and the high is valid. I just draw the range where I see fit and see the most potential touches, which is what we have here. So now we draw our short-term downtrend once again. We have a break and a new low. And if you had gone short right there, which I actually did, I got burned, then you would have got stopped out by one tick just to have prices go lower. So the reason I took an aggressive trade right there was just because I saw another touch, another lower high of this trend channel, but what I didn't follow was the price action rules. We have this short-term downtrend. We already had a break and a new low of it. So we're not even looking to potentially go short until we have a new high of this uptrend. Even though in my head, I'm thinking, okay, prices want to reach the lows of the day. We have to respect the rules, even in the very short-term trends. So now we have a clear break, clear new low, at least of this short-term trend. We still haven't reached the low of the day, which in my head, I thought that traders were going to really rally for. Of course, later in the day we did. But for now, we just bounced out. We have this short-term uptrend, which really was just a continuation of this leg. So we finally got a new high, and I did take an aggressive trade right here. It was sort of picking a top, but I was confident because I actually had my trend channel like this with a break and a new high, and because we had bounced several times at this midline, and because I was confident that prices were still going to test this low of the day, just because each swing high had been lower than the previous one, and we had such a bearish bar, room to the EMA, once again, touch at this midline, and I was lucky enough to get about a 20-point runner. I actually had 2 contracts as a runner, and we finally had a break of this short-term trend. Attempt by the bulls to try to bounce out, but once again, we have this short-term uptrend, a break and a new high, a beautiful touch at this upward part of the trend channel. The safer bet would have been to wait for a lower high. This kind of looks a little stacked up, but you can also kind of trade this if you're being more aggressive. And we finally reached a new low of this downtrend. So now at this point, we really want to sit on our hands and wait for a really good setup to appear. But we have to also see that this trend channel is still valid. We still have 1, 2, 3 more touches of it. We're still going lower. And this is a very nice trap trade just because we have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. All the bulls who are trying to pick a bottom are going to get trapped because even though this short-term uptrend is in play, another short-term downtrend was in play. So we're looking to get a new low once again, which we ended up having. We kept going lower and lower before reaching this upward part of the trend channel once again. And look, again, the midline is coming into play over and over again. If we zoom out, we can see, okay, now this is starting to look like a valid trend for sure. But we also have to keep in mind there was a break of the trend and we reached new low. So prices might just start ranging for the rest of the day, which is exactly what ended up happening. So we're chopping around, and we finally hit that upward part of the trend channel for having another short-term downtrend, and we have a clear range-like structure. And at this point, because we reached the bottom side of the trading range, we can draw an upward trend channel. Once we see this third touch, it's confirmed on the bottom 3 times, confirmed on the top twice. We have a lower high or a higher low here. If we're counting from the highs, we have a first entry long, second entry long. That was a nice trade. And we reached the upward part of the trend channel nearly for having a break and a new high of this short-term uptrend. We bounced at the top, signaling, okay, this upward trend channel does seem correct. And even though for the majority of the day, the downward bias was in play, we have to respect this upward trend channel now. So we have a break of it. We're not thinking to go short just yet. We're still thinking we want to reach a new high of this. And if we zoom out, we can see that potentially there's a range-like structure, and this is just a midline. I just got that by playing off the lows and putting it off the highs. Actually, at this point of the day, I didn't have this drawn. I just had this upward trend channel. But once we started reaching these highs, I then drew the trading range. So we have a break and a new high. We reach a potential upward side of the trading range. And I actually took another pretty aggressive trade right here. But in my mind, because we had bounced several times at these levels, we had a break, new high of this upward trend channel. Everything was signaling that we might potentially go lower once again. This was like a quadruple touch, a hidden second entry short, and the prices rocketed down. We have a break and a new low. before prices once again start ranging, and the rest of the day was very, very choppy. There is one trade right in here that is a bit more nuanced. Right there. That's technically a second entry short, counting from this low. First entry short, second entry short. Well, it looks pretty valid because there's one touch, two touches, three touches, the fourth touch of this downward trend channel. So why didn't this second entry short work? Well, the reason it didn't work is because what you could have had is you could have drawn the trend channel off these highs, dragged it to the lows, and had it like this. But really, there's only one touch at the low. When in reality, what makes more sense is that the trend channel started like this. Look how many times it touched the bottom. If we add a midline, it looks very valid as well. And we see that played off the midline. The reason that this second entry short didn't work is because we have an overshoot right here. So we're expecting potentially the same thing to happen on the other side. And even though we did have a break on the other side, we still want to get a new low, which ended up happening before the prices just ended the day very, very choppy. All right, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Peace out.